I'd like for you to imagine a long and successful life that you've created for yourself. You're a communications professional and you work in a local bank in your state of Washington, D.C. You're also an aspiring author with your first novel that is only weeks away from being published. You wake up one morning and it starts off just like any other morning. You get your kid to school and you jump on the Washington, D.C. metro to head over to your job. Now, while you're on the metro, you notice that an employee is casually eating their lunch in uniform. Eating is not allowed on the train, and you bring this to the employee's attention. Yet, they seem apathetic to your concern. So you pull out your phone and you make a quick tweet about it. Now, commenting on it is probably not the wisest thing to do. However, we are all human and we do make mistakes. And in most cases, this would have been the end of it. However, I'd like for you to imagine a different scenario. One in which a small statement ruined your life and dismantled any credibility that you had worked so hard to build. This is the case of Natasha Tynes. One small comment directed towards an employee of color, and her entire career was nearly sent into a downward spiral. She was labeled as anti-black and elitist. Ironic, considering that she herself is an immigrant and a woman of color. I pulled this from an article titled, "I Was Canceled and It Nearly Destroyed My Life," from Good Morning America's website, and this article was posted in January of 2020. Now, I myself have had a few experiences with cancel culture, and I'm ashamed to say that I even took part in it in the past. In today's society, we shouldn't encourage a mob mentality, and it's stories like these that really highlight society's immaturity. Today, I'm going to be speaking about, you probably already guessed it, cancel culture. I believe individuals should discourage cancel culture to promote critical thinking and to stop the unnecessary harassment of public figures and corporations. I'll first start by speaking about what cancel culture is, and I'll then move on to the effects that it is having on individuals and society, and lastly, how we can solve the issue. First, let us talk about what cancel culture is. If you use my definition, then it's simple. It's a problem. However, the New York Post describes it as the phenomenon of promoting the canceling of people, brands, or even shows and movies due to what some consider to be offensive. At first glance, the idea might not seem that bad in theory. Who wouldn't want to rid the world of all hatred and terrible ideas? However, this has gone much further than that. It's not only about canceling bad ideas, but these social vigilantes are also seeking to ruin people's livelihoods. Don't be fooled. This trend is not about forward progressiveness. It's angry individuals with a mob mentality that are trying to wipe out thoughts or ideologies that don't agree with their own. Instead of debating or addressing a controversial topic at hand, one simply decides to not only disregard it, but dismantle the idea and anybody that agrees with said idea. Needless to say, this trend exhibits some very unhealthy behaviors. The Washington Post stated that they're pressuring mainstream institutions which serve as society's idea curators to adopt a much narrower definition of what reasonable opinion is. This was all in an article titled "The Real Problem with Cancel Culture," and it was last updated in June of 2020. Opinions are meant to be had, and mistakes are bound to happen. We must all work as one and share our ideas, not cancel them. Now, I'd like to further elaborate on some of the effects that this trend is having in our society. It's not only affecting individuals, but companies and brands as well. It really seems as if nobody is safe nowadays. It's gone so far that a global media company that focuses on business and finance named Forbes released an article titled, "How Brands Can Legally Handle Cancel Culture in 2020." In this article, you can find different legal tools and provisions that can help your company in today's era of quote-unquote cancel culture. It's astonishing how the entire nation can really recognize this awful trend. And it's only a matter of time before companies and brands start to cancel each other. We already see this in public figures and celebrities. They take part in the movement instead of trying to stop it. And it's not only a handful of public figures. There's an entire team of celebrities who take social justice into their own hands. Not only do they attack each other, but normal individuals that are outside of the public arena as well. The New York Post shows an example of this in an article titled, "What is Cancel Culture? Everything to know about the toxic online trend." The article was posted in July of 2020, and it speaks about a recent event in which a well-known Disney star by the name of Sky Jackson took to Twitter to expose a high school student featured in a viral video screaming racial slurs. She identified his name and Instagram handle. Now first, let me address the actions of the boy. What he did was obviously wrong, and actions like that should be addressed and properly handled. That would be justice. And perhaps that's what Sky Jackson was trying to do. But that's not what happened. The boy was put under a spotlight and faced severe and ongoing bullying. Some would say that that's what the boy needed to learn a lesson, but that is not justice. The boy's parents lost their jobs due to the whole situation. Yes, his actions were wrong, but we're all human, and I believe that we should at least be given the chance to apologize for our actions. Now, some would argue that cancel culture is necessary and long overdue, that it's a force of accountability. Now, it's true, it's accountability, if you consider accountability to be damnation. Now, perhaps that's a little extreme, but is that not what is happening here? People's lives, reputations, and careers are being ruined. And in many cases, it's for actions that were taken out of context or took place years in the past. People are being held to an all-time high standard. Individuals are no longer allowed to make mistakes or even attempt to apologize or explain those mistakes. CNN supports this idea in an article titled, "What Barack Obama Gets Exactly Right About Our Toxic Cancel Culture." The article was posted in October of 2020, and it directly quotes statements made about cancel culture from our former US President, Barack Obama. He himself stated that this unjust trend is not activism. Obama was a well-respected president for his open and progressive ideas, yet he himself can see the problem in this movement. It's not social justice. Now finally, let's talk about a possible solution for this toxic tendency. Now, it's not a simple solution, but it might be the only solution. And in an article titled, "The Problem with Cancel Culture and Why It Needs to Stop," stated, "It's gonna take all of us." This was posted by a news source named The Burnin, and in this article, the writer, Cody DeBoss, went on to say that rather than ganging up on people who act poorly, perhaps we should gang up on the hatred spewing through society. Now, I couldn't agree with this statement anymore. Outcasting and destroying lives will not solve anything. We as individuals should at least try to be a little bit more responsible and disciplined with our own emotions. And it's not easy. And in fact, it's rather hard to not lash out at someone who you believe is doing something wrong. However, as I stated before, it's not going to solve anything. We must look at the problem in society that causes a person to act a certain way and not just the person. Once the issue is addressed, then we can attempt to counteract it. This is a much healthier form of conflict resolution. It will not be an effortless transition, but if we all do our part, there won't be any need for cancellations. In all, we've reviewed a few of the main aspects of cancel culture, and I believe that we can live in a world with no need for it, and with less hatred. Imagine that. A world in which we do not immediately lash out at others. One where we decide to help others and address serious issues. One where we encourage critical thinking and do not bash and batter individuals for their mistakes. And with that being said, I'd like to encourage all of you to take action and try to diminish this unnecessary and ultimately toxic trend. Thank you.